Hey guys, Kai from Kai's Otaku Corner here, back for another video, and this one is much more to do about the interview that I promised with you with Colleen Villard, or Colleen O'Shaughnessy. I actually pronounced the name right for once, Colleen. And it took a while. I'll just give you a brief update why it took a while before we head on to the interview, and I will also mention that it might sound a little, there might be some weird peaks or drops because of me having to do it via XSplit, but it turned out really well, minus those little intrusions, but everything got out there okay, and it made it still turned out really well, the interview. So yeah, so why it took so long is I used the Skype recorder to be able to record the Skype call, and it literally didn't, it ended up being corrupted after everything, so I told Colleen that it corrupted and technology really went kaput and everything, and we finally managed to rearrange everything on Saturday to do it around what was best for her, and that pretty much what happened. So without further ado, there were slightly more questions, but because this was a redo and everything, I just wanted to make sure focused on the questions that I typed up that I wanted to ask, and some of the questions that my friends asked, and some of my video questions there. So I'm sorry that some of the questions that are posted on with the will didn't get answered, but if I get a chance to do another question Q&A interview with her late down the line, I will probably do it. But other than that, without further ado, let's head over and transition to the interview of Colleen O'Shaughnessy. Hopefully you enjoy. Hey guys, Kai from Kai's Otaku Corner here, back with my first Skype interview with Colleen
O'Shaughnessy,
who you might know her from popular anime shows from Naruto, Bleach, and Digimon, mainly Digimon, as I think most of her fandom originally watched that show that grew into like her other roles because of her connection to Digimon and everything. And I got her with me now to do my first Skype interview call, so I'll crack down onto the questions. So first off, how did it come about you getting the role of Sora originally?
Well, it came about the same way most of my roles have come about. My agent sends me a copy, and I do an audition, and they choose me, which is awesome. So I was chosen from an audition.
Okay. So with that, it must have been very easy. But I remember from our first interview before it all went kaput, that you had that Sora is close to your heart, and after hearing how much all the other original cast members are close to Digimon, they are all must be because these were all their first voice acting roles, most likely.
Well, for me, Sora was my very first anime role. It came right on the heels of my very first series, which was the Kids from 402. I played the part of Polly, and that was an original animation. And then I auditioned for Digimon, and I won the role of Sora. And so, yeah, it was my very first. I wasn't all that familiar with anime. It was very much on the job training. I had never done dubbing before, and it's a very different thing than doing original animation. So yeah, I mean, it was a kind of trial by fire sort of thing that turned out really, really great.
Okay, so that goes on to, I think that follows on to my next question in some ways. Did you always wanted to get into the voice acting, or was there another passion that you wanted to follow?
Originally, I wanted to do music therapy. I was in college for musical theater, and then I thought, oh, well, then I'll go to graduate school and I was getting a dual major actually in musical theater and psychology, and then I thought, oh, I wanted to do music therapy. And then I got kind of sucked into the whole theater world, and somebody said, you know what, you really should do voiceover. And I went, wait a minute, that's somebody's job. That is for me. And so I kind of switched gears and thought that's the only thing I could feel like I could. It just didn't occur to me that that's somebody's job. I always watched cartoons, and I always watched The Muppet Show and Wonderful World of Disney. And it just, it doesn't always occur to you when you're a kid that that's a person getting paid to do that,
Yeah.
So that was it for me, and then I started figuring out how to do it.
So I'm going to reword this question, because this one was the question about if you kept in touch with any of the Digimon's cast.
Okay.
I'm going to reword it. Is there some cast members from Digimon that you actually worked with later on that you actually became great friends with, and you actually hang out off screen and are really close friends now? With Digimon being the main connection of that spark, that friendship.
Well, the funny thing about doing anime is you're mostly there by yourself, so you don't always know who is in the cast with you. But I will say that I did meet many of them first while doing Digimon. We either passed as ships in the night as I would come into a session and they'd be leaving or vice versa. But yeah, I actually just saw Mona Marshall yesterday. She's with my same agency, and we sat and chatted, and she is lovely. I ran into her on the street the other day. I mean, she's fantastic. Laura Jill, I got to work with her also on Juniper Lee, and I'm working with her on a new show that I am not allowed to talk about yet. So yeah, I mean, I have lots of connections, definitely, from Digimon, and I see a lot of them on a pretty regular basis.
So, okay, so with Bleach, you obviously play the character Nell, the adorable Nell. I never realized that it was you playing her until I looked it up. But how did creating Nell's English voice come about for this?
Kind of the same way they all do. When you're auditioning for something, they'll give you a piece of copy and they'll give you a description of the character. Hopefully they give you a picture. Sometimes they don't, but if they give you a picture, for me, that's I like to have a visual. I like to see what the character looks like, because that helps me. Don't remember, but I probably did have a picture of her. And so having that picture and then whatever description they gave to me, I came up with my idea of what I thought she should sound like based on what they gave me. And then it's like with anything else, they like what I do, and then they say, okay, yes, we want that. And then you get little tweaks along the way, and she, comes to life. I always feel like it's such a collaborative effort between you, the voice actor, and the director, and the powers that be, that they really get what they want. Like, they have a vision for the character, and they know, sometimes they don't know what they want, but for the most part, they know what they want. And then when they hear it, they go, oh, that's exactly what I wanted. And that brings that character for life to life for them as well. So, it's very collaborative, but it probably started with what I gave them in my audition and then evolved from there.
Now we'll transfer over to Tails, your character of Tails. The fact that he had in video games, he had two previous voice actresses beforehand. With Tails, did you had to try and mimic the previous voice, or did they allow you to create your own?
They allowed me to create my own. When I was auditioning for Tails, I didn't realize that it was going to go along with all the games. I knew it was a new show. That's what I was told. And so I was auditioning for the show, and honestly, I had worked on the games before as Charmy the Bee, but it was another situation where I didn't know who else was on the game, and I didn't know who was voicing what. And so I went into my audition for Tails just doing my own thing and not having really knowledge of what he sounded like before.
So, because you said that you were voicing the show of Sonic Boom, you didn't realize that you were also ending up voicing Tails in Sonic Colors. Right, so
we found that out later. Once I booked it, they're like, oh yeah, we're doing video games too. I'm like, cool.
So because Sonic Colors came out before Sonic Boom, so
Yeah.
so Sonic Boom was already in production during Colors then, or
I'm not sure if we had started recording the shows or before. I'm not sure exactly the order. I know that my audition is what I thought was just for the show turned out to be for the games too. So we may have recorded the game first. I don't honestly recall.
okay.
It was kind of maybe even at the same time. I don't know. It all blends.
Yeah. Okay, so with this, have you with it? Well, it doesn't follow on to into the Sonic fandom. It more goes into another question of, have you become a fan of anime yourself while you were doing the voiceover work for the English dubs?
I definitely have much more so. Especially my son is a huge anime fan, and he is a phenomenal artist. And he goes through phases of the things that he draws, and for a long time, all he drew was anime. And very, even though I was doing it, it wasn't because I did voices on anime that he had an interest in it. He came about that completely on his own. So his interest in my working on it definitely has given me a much more, greater appreciation for anime, for sure.
So, introduced your son to Digimon yet, or are you still waiting for the right moment?
I asked him that the other day, and he said he's seen a couple little things here and there, but it was, it was before his time, really. So he wasn't even born yet. So when he was, I'm not sure. I'll have to ask him what his very first anime was but he still loves Pokemon. So, but I think he would like Digimon. I do. And I would venture to guess that he would watch Try when it comes out, for sure. But he'll probably go back and watch all of Digimon first.
Yeah.
And then watch the
Mainly
rest.
the first two seasons because
Exactly.
that will make Try a bit more connectable.
Exactly.
Because I'm hoping to introduce because I've already introduced my 6-year-old niece to Digimon before I moved.
Oh.
So I was really happy that I introduced her to Digimon. She ended up going through phases where she then decides to watch Digimon Fusion.
Ah.
Yeah, after I showed it. Before I moved, we ended up getting up to Digimon Tamers, the 3rd season.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but we never got around to finishing it. But I am really looking forward to introducing her to Digimon Adventures Try once it comes out on Blu-ray and DVD.
Excellent.
Yeah, so following on, now that the whole announcement is back with the biggest announcement of getting the retired voice actor Joshua Seth back to being your leader. Now that the whole casting's been announced and everything, are you able to say anything else now about Try?
I don't have much information. I mean, I have worked on it. We've done a few episodes. We haven't done much, so I honestly don't have. I don't have any more information. You guys probably have more than I do, honestly.
Yeah, most likely with
Couple
it being up on Crunchyroll, with the first 2 films split up into 4 episodes.
Yep.
Up.
And I just found that out the other day because people kept asking me and they're talking about buying tickets to the movie, and I was like, "Are we doing a movie?" They're like, "No, it's the episodes squished together." So I didn't even know that. I know nothing. Don't tell me anything.
Yeah, fans. I think they got a bit confused because in Japan it's actually a movie, whereas the simulcast of it got split into 4 episodes.
Right. That they're squishing into a movie apparently, but I guess they're sort of open-ended at the end. I don't know.
They're not squishing into a movie. That it literally was a movie first.
Right, but I'm just saying the way that we recorded it.
Yeah.
They made it seem like anyway. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't get the scripts ahead of time. When I go in, the script is up on an iPad, and I scroll to my line, and I do. They'll give me a little bit of what's going on, but other than that, I really don't. I don't know, and it's not like I get to take the script home with me to find out what happens.
With Sora and Shirai, is she going to sound slightly older or slightly different, or is she going to sound exactly like she did in the first 2 seasons?
She's pretty close, but yeah, she's a little bit older. She's more mature. They're all a little bit older, so yeah. But it just sounds like me.
Okay, so we'll go follow on with some of the questions that my friends asked. What first off is from my friend John Knowles, who asks, what do you think that makes Digimon such a special anime?
I think that it's this group of friends who are seemingly just like everybody else, and they have this extraordinary experience together where they get to have basically their own personal superhero, which is kind of cool. And I think that that's universally liked because who wouldn't want that? Who wouldn't want their group of friends to have that experience? And I think it's something that all kids can kind of relate to because every kid feels like they're a superhero, right? And would love to have their own one and get to, kind of help save the world together with your group of friends. That would be awesome.
Yeah. So, okay, that's okay. And then the next one on the Word document is Kevin Rosales asks. He has 2 questions. Which of your characters is your favorite, so that you have voiced?
My favorite character that I voiced.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
It's really hard for me to play favorites. I don't really play favorites with almost anything. Like somebody asked me what's my favorite song, that's really hard for me because I have lots of different favorites. As far as my characters, there are so many that I just absolutely love. Which the one that's closest to my heart probably is Polly. She was my very first character from my very, very first show. She just was kind of kooky and crazy and out there and fun and silly and didn't care about anybody else, what they thought of her, and she just kind of marched to her own drum, and I just absolutely loved her. I loved Jazz. Wasp, that was my first, I got to play a superhero. How awesome is that? And she kind of kicked butt, and she was snarky and sarcastic, and I mean just so many of them. And I love Tails. He's so sweet and smart, and but my favorites tend to be the silly ones. I like to be silly. I like to be weird.
Okay.
So.
And his second question is, how do you get into character?
That is a really good question because I don't know that I have a method per se. It's kind of like what I talked about before. When I see the picture and I read the script and I know the scenario, it's almost like it's like going back to your acting lessons, acting 101. Like, who are you talking to? What's the situation? Where have you been? Where are you going? Those kinds of things that just sort of kick in. And I become familiar with all the characters, so I kind of know, I know them because they're little pieces of me. So, and I am blessed to have worked with so many ridiculously talented writers that they make it easy for me. So I don't have to do a lot of work to get into character.
Okay, that's the end of the questions that I got written down on the Word document. I'm now on my YouTube announcement that I was doing this interview with you, and one of the questions is, how does it feel to be the voice of Tails, and what do you think of the Sonic Boom show so far? And this is by a commenter called Alyssa Marles. I think I'm pronouncing her name right.
Okay. It feels awesome to be Tails. I just love him, and I think Sonic Boom is a brilliant show. I really do. I feel like the writing is so smart and so hilariously funny. It's one of those shows that I do get the scripts ahead of time for those, and I read them and I laugh out loud just reading it, which is, sometimes rare to get a script that's funny on the page. And then I get in this room with these ridiculously talented actors, and we just have a blast. It is so much fun, and I hope it goes on forever because it seriously makes my week. When I know I'm doing Sonic, I'm like, yay! It just puts me in a really good mood, and it's hilariously fun.
The next question is by the user by Zenojoshi. He asks, what is your favorite Mastiff type dog?
My favorite Mastiff type dog?
Yeah.
Oh, I do like Mastiffs. I love big dogs. My dog is a Shepherd Chow Akita. But my favorite breed of dog probably, oh God, it's like I love American Bulldogs and English Bulldogs and Boxers, like anything with a squish face. Those are my favorites. And Rottweilers. I think those are probably my favorites.
What about the pug?
Pugs are okay. They're a little too small for me. I like big dogs. Um, Big dogs are my favorite. Big, sloppy, lap doggy, think they're people dogs. Those are my favorites.
Next one is by CMC Official, and it's a question for you. What was your reaction when you got the part for Digimon Tries Sora again? Have you heard about it before the dub was even announced? You probably already answered this question already early on, but that's his question.
Okay. I I had actually heard about it a long time ago. So about a year and a half ago, I was in New Zealand doing a convention, and a fan came up and asked me if I was going to be doing Digimon Try, and that was the very first I'd ever even heard of its existence. I had no idea that it was even out there, and I said, "Oh, well, this is the first I'm hearing about it, but if they ask me, sure." And then within that year and a half, people would bring it up again. I'd get tweets about it, and nobody had talked to me about it, and I hadn't heard about it here other than fans asking me that question. And so when I finally got an email saying, "Do you want to come and do Sora?" I was like, "Yes, finally!" I really didn't think it was going to happen because everyone kept asking me about it, but I never heard about it, and I work at that studio all the time, and nobody brought it up. So I was excited and surprised and like, woohoo! It's actually happening.
Okay, I could go on to the forums where I can get those the other questions up, but because I don't know how long you want to do this interview for. I just think I'll just come up with a few more questions of myself about this because it's mainly my interview to you. And is there any type of anime series, like kids-based anime series like Yu-Gi-Oh or Pokemon, you wish to work on that's similar to Digimon?
I love to work, so I welcome anyone that wants me. I pretty much will do it. I actually did get to work on Pokemon. I worked on Pokemon Origins. Is that right?
Yeah.
I think so. And I got to do Pikachu, which was so fun. So yeah, I mean, I know that's sort of vague. I don't have a specific show that I can think of that, ooh, I'd love to be on that one, off the top of my head. But honestly, I just love to work. I love what I do. So I'm game. If they want me, I'll do it.
So you also voiced Kelsey in Glitter Force, also known as Smile Precure in Japan.
Yes.
How does it feel to be working with Saban again, working on another anime by Saban?
Well, I don't really have much contact with the Saban people, but I will say that working on Glitter Force was so much fun. I got to work with Mary Elizabeth. She's one of my favorites. I just love her to pieces. And we get along so well, and she's so funny, and she made those sessions just so much fun. And I loved Kelsey. I have to say that that may have been one of my favorite anime shows to work on because it was just so much fun and silly. And I got to be, like I said before, I like the silly. And Kelsey was, we got to let her be a little bit weird and a little bit quirky, and that always is very satisfying for me. So that was very enjoyable. I loved working on the show. When they told me we were done, I was like, "What? That's it? No!" Because I wanted more. It was really fun.
Recent news: there would be a Netflix Glitter Force movie coming to Netflix. Are you allowed to discuss anything about that movie, or not at all?
I know nothing of such movie.
Okay. Okay, so So, is there anything you want your fans to want to know about, like, like where they can follow you on Facebook or Twitter?
I would love for them to follow me on Twitter. I'm at VO Colleen. You can follow me on Facebook. I have a fan page. It's Colleen O'Shaughnessy, voice actor. I'm working on a new website, so stand by. That's coming. It'll probably just be ColleenO'Shaughnessy.com, but that will also have my Twitter and Instagram feeds. I am on Instagram. I don't do that one very well. Social media is not my specialty, but I do have Instagram. So anyway, yeah, and look for me at some conventions coming soon. I don't have all the details, but I know I'm going to be in Oklahoma City Labor Day weekend.
And has Sora got anything to say?
Absolutely, she does. But let me think what Sora has to say.
Something about go see Digimon Adventures Try?
Yes. Go see Digimon Adventures Try. It actually comes out on my birthday, September 15th. So go see it.
Okay, guys, so hopefully you guys enjoyed this interview, my first interview with Colleen
O'Shaughnessy.
O'Shaughnessy, and hopefully I can try and get more type of interviews with other future voice actors down the line. Thanks to the power of social media like Facebook and Twitter, these sort of things become regularly easier accessible now to people like me that haven't got many views but can get videos made like this with Colleen herself, and hopefully you enjoyed this video, and it was great having you on my first interview show, Colleen.
Thanks so much. It was great to be here.
And
wonderful talking to you.
And I hope to meet you again at a convention sometime in the UK when I get the chance.
I would love to.
So without further ado, this has been Kai from Kai's Otaku Corner, and I'm signing off. And you can follow Colleen on Facebook and Twitter. Links will be down in the video description, and we'll see you around.
Bye.
See ya. Bye.